Hey, everybody. We are live with you today on the Unforgettable Experiences live show and yet another edition. And I'm here with Mike Brennan. Mike Brennan and I have known each other for 4 years, I believe. We met in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
Yeah.
right, Mike?
Yep. That does sound right. Yeah, I believe so. At the Tribe Conference.
At Tribe Conference with Jeff Goins and lots
Yep.
of friends who were there. And that's the first time I saw you in action. One of the things that Mike does is he paints cool things or he draws cool pictures at events. And so behind you, you've got a couple things on the wall there, Mike. Are those
Yeah,
things that you drew, I imagine?
they are indeed. Yeah. So I love to do all sorts of pop culture stuff as well. So, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man over here on the other side, and Chewbacca over here. So, yeah, that stuff is all, most of the stuff I do actually is digital. It's on my iPad. And then I'll have prints made and do all sorts of fun stuff with it because once it's digitized, you can kind of do anything with it.
So you and I are both about making unforgettable and memorable memories, experiences together. What role do you see art playing in that?
I think art has the ability to express things that is unique because it can be sort of a pattern interrupter where we're hearing a lot of words, audio wise, or we're reading a lot of things. We're being bombarded with a lot of information, and visual communication can really make things either concise, it can change the channel, it can be a pattern interrupter and grab somebody's attention in a way that helps them remember it as opposed to if you're reading something and it's just a wall of text. There's a certain amount of you know processing that happens with your brain, and you just simply can't remember everything. And so I think visual communication is really important because it gives you something in a way that is really memorable. And if it's something that's like art, that's original art, it's something that's special, and people know that, hey, what I'm seeing and experiencing right now is different, and so I'm paying attention more because it is different.
Yeah, I think there's something here that's similar to what Andy Sharp is going to be one of our speakers this week at the Unforgettable Experience Design Summit. And he made a point to me a couple of years ago about music. He said that when we go to events or we're a part of an experience, there's different levels of music. There's the passive music that's being played off of some satellite channel decided by someone somewhere out in the universe. That's one level of music. The next level is you've got a curated playlist that you've actually thought about it. And you're saying, okay, here's a theme. We want 80s pop music. So now you've got a theme, and we're just going to play that playlist. Next is you've actually curated music for specific moments, but it's still pre-recorded. It's somebody else's music. It's not being performed live. Then that's the next level is live performance music that's being played by a band or an ensemble or someone, and it's maybe being chosen for specific moments, but it's being performed live in front of you. Or you've got a live, actually in between there's a live DJ. So the DJ is taking pre-recorded music, but they're actually choosing songs for the moment. And then you've got live performance, and then you've got collaborative music that is being pulled together. And I think where I see what you're talking about is like the live performance band is being curated in the moment. Um, yes. So you've got your hi Steve, how are you doing? So you've got the art that's being created in the moment by you is the same as a band, but I'm wondering, this is just a question, comparing those two different things. Have you ever helped curate live art by letting participants create it? So what Andy does and Song Division does is they invite a whole audience to create a song with them. They write a song, or there's multiple songs being created, and then those get performed and they bring people on stage. So there's actually an ownership in what's being done on stage. Have you ever done that with art at an event?
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting concept. I have not done anything like that up to this point. It certainly sounds intriguing. One of the hurdles to get through, when as soon as you say anything about art, people who feel like they're not creative or not artistic in any way, the immediate red flag that they throw is, well, I can't draw. I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. And so there's a little bit of groundwork that needs to be covered before we can even actually get people to enter the space where they would feel comfortable contributing to something. So I don't think it's, certainly it's not that it's not doable. I think it just would require a little bit more finesse to be able to navigate those conversations in a way so that people did feel the freedom to be able to, collaborate and be a part of things and not judge themselves before they even set out to do anything.
Yeah. So Steve here owns a club in San Francisco, a blues club. And so they're performing live music there. I think it's a really interesting concept to think about. How do we enable people to create art? Next week, I'm going to be playing at a wine bar, what do they call it? A wine tavern. And they actually have wine on tap. It's really an interesting concept where they put bottles of wine and they have them on tap and you get to prepay for it. But they're doing a wine tasting, and I'm gonna be playing jazz responses to the wines. But before I do, I'm gonna actually invite people to either draw a picture or write down a story of what they are experiencing as they hear about and as they taste and as they smell this wine, to get them engaged before they ever
Mhm.
hear what I'm going to do. Like maybe it reminds them of a story, or maybe we're going to come up with the story of the what do you call them? The venture, the person who owns the vineyard. I'm not from that part of the world where I know these things. But what's the story? What's the family? What have they been doing? What was that year like? Was it a drought? Was it a really good year? Was there something that happened in the family? Like actually tell a story that makes that wine come to life in a different kind of way. And I suspect if you told people, hey, you don't have to show your art to somebody else. This is for you. This is for your notebook. This is so that you remember. It could actually take on a different level. I'm going to tell you a story of when that actually happened for me, Mike. I was at a conference, and at the end of it, the Jeff Hurt was the MC, and Jeff runs a company called Velvet Chainsaw, which is a hilarious name for a company. And he's emceeing this final debrief session, and he says, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 things that were meaningful to you throughout this entire 3-day event. Then the first thing we did was we stuck them on a wall and in a timeline. So we knew when they happened. So there was a time anchor. So we remembered that happened during Mike Brennan's session. So I remember, and he made some observations, and look, Mike's session was really popular. Everyone put a note next to him. Let's just say that's what happened. But then he took us back to our chairs, and he said, I want you to take one of those 3 ideas, and you've got some paper and you've got some crayons next to you. I want you to draw a picture of that story. So he gave us a couple of minutes to draw a picture. He said, I don't care what it looks like. This isn't for publication online. No one's going to win awards here. Then he had us hand that to somebody that we either knew or didn't know. He said, I want you to have them tell you what they see in what you drew. And then he said, now I want you to tell them the full story of what is in your art. And it gave you a chance to retell the story in a couple different ways there, which was really powerful because he's now allowing us to anchor it in time, draw something artistic, and share it with somebody else. And then he had us go to somebody completely different. He said, I want you to make an appointment to talk to this person or to reach out in 3 weeks and have them follow up with you on the 3 things that you found most important that you're going to do something about. And that role of art was actually super important to me. I don't remember what I drew, but I do remember the 3 things that I said. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious if that brings anything to your mind about how art could maybe even go to a different level. I love yours art, but I'm wondering if there's something that could be added to it.
Yeah, and certainly I think what you're talking about is art in terms of the process of the engagement, right? And what's happening in your brain while you're doing that and making connections. Again, it's not so much about the product. You said it doesn't matter what this looks like. We're not going to publish this. We're not going to sell this. And I think when you can take the pressure off for people to realize
Yeah.
like, oh, we're not actually talking about this specific piece of art having some kind of quote value in and of itself. It's really more what's happening to you and in you in the process of creating this. And as a result of you sharing it and talking about it, like you said, holding this up, having somebody say, ask you questions about it, and it becomes something much bigger than, yeah, there's some crayon marks on a page. And this is something that, maybe I'm going to put away someplace or never look at it again. It takes on a different life. So I think you're right in that there's tremendous value in that process of art making and not getting hung up on the particulars of, do I have talent? Do I not? I should have used these crayons instead of these, like all that kind of stuff that just kind of falls away once we see the power of that.
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways that we can incorporate art in shows that we don't even think about. But I think to your point, your book, your website is make fun a habit. That's what you're all about, is making it fun. And art is just one of those ways. There's a lot of ways that we can have a lot more fun when we're gathering together at events and experiences. We're going to be talking about those this week at the Unforgettable Experience Design Summit. We've got Lizzie Williamson's going to be coming, and she's going to be showing how movement is part of that. We've got, I think, 4 different people doing something with music, including myself. I'm going to be doing something that I'm not going to give it away right now, but I'm going to be creating a musical moment during the event. And, of course, we'll lean into the song Unforgettable because, that just immediately comes to mind with Nat King Cole and whatever version of it that you're familiar with. It won't be done like that by anybody, but it will be creating our own. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can have fun. And I think when we have fun, things do become more memorable. Speaking of fun and memorable, Mike, and we're gonna wrap up here in a minute. What's something that you've done this Labor Day weekend that's been fun or memorable or both?
Yeah, it's been relatively quiet, which is unusual, especially for a holiday weekend. But I took some time yesterday actually and went into New York City. I'm not that far. I'm about an hour away. And so I just decided, you know what? It's a beautiful day out. I'm going to go in and just walk around, visit some old places that I used to either go to school or work or just see what I see. And so that was really fun because that sense of curiosity and exploration where you don't necessarily have a timetable, you don't necessarily have destinations, but you're open to experience some things. And so I saw some pretty cool things along the way of just some people doing a giant block long bounce house that was really incredibly, I mean, not just for
Wow.
kids, but like adults were going in this too. Yeah. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
block long and I was like, man, that's really cool. So I took a moment, I actually sketched that because it's very colorful and just, saw some random things across the way that I would not have encountered in my usual day to day. And so I intentionally went into that trying to be open, trying to notice and just see like, what am I going to experience today? Be open to what comes. So
And that right there is just such a great attitude to have when you walk into any experience. Like if you walk in curious and
yeah.
you are open to new things and you notice things, and then you don't just notice it, but you do something with it. Like in your
Hmm.
case, you draw. In my case, I play. In someone else's case, they might get a business idea, or who knows, but you don't just observe and notice, but you actually take action. Now, I've got to ask you, Mike, when you saw a block long bounce house,
Yeah.
did you get in first?
No, I didn't. And unfortunately, the long was really, really long. The
Oh,
line was
okay.
really long. And I was just like, I had passed it so quickly and I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll go in. And then I thought like, well, I don't want to be that like weird older guy that's in there with no kids and like, let's just avoid that situation. So I appreciated it from the outside. I appreciated it, the face of the kids who were smiling and the families who were having a good time. So,
Well, sometimes that's what we have to do is observe
mhm.
others having fun, but that allows us to vicariously have fun as well. Mike, tell us a little bit more about your book.
Yeah. So make fun a habit. And the reason why I wrote this book is I think we need to have more fun. I think we need to stop thinking about everything as being so difficult and breaking through brick walls every time we want to accomplish something, or even if we're stuck in our mundane tasks day to day, and realize that we actually have opportunity to find fun, create fun in the midst of things that seem as far away from fun as possible. And so I designed it so that there's 30 short chapters where you could jump in and say you want to do 30 days of this fun making habit building. You could do 1 through 30. You could jump in at any point you want. It's really a playbook that I'm calling it, and a resource manual that gives people some stories from me and my experiences, gives people some very specific prompts and activities that they can put to use right away. And if something doesn't speak to them in one chapter, there's another chapter that will change the channel for them and hopefully give them an access point. So I'm really excited to get this into the hands of people and let them have fun and share fun.
You just gave a new definition to playbook,
Hmm.
because your book is about play,
Exactly.
as opposed to playbooks that we usually think about in sports or whatever. But I have to ask this: is there a compendium coloring book?
Not yet, but there are some resources that are coming. I'm actually developing a fun box. That's a special edition where you get a copy of the book, you get a copy of my other daily creative habit journal, which is a 90-day journal where you can be intentional about your creativity, as well as some fun things like that. I don't want to give anything away too much, but certainly some, again, as many different types of experiences that I can give someone, so that if they're automatically saying, well, I can't draw, or I'm not into music, or I'm not into this, there's at least a place where they can grab a hole and start to put this into practice.
I love it. Well, we're also both going to be part of the Unforgettable Experience Design Summit this week. So if you're watching, please come and join us. It's entirely free to sign up. You can watch it for free on LinkedIn or over on Facebook. We've got a group over there on Facebook where you can watch it. It will also broadcast to YouTube, but the recordings will be available for purchase. And this is where you can go sign up for one or both. And we would look forward to seeing you there. Mike is just one of 15, 16. Well, I think there's 19 of us total. But a couple of us are just performing. So not just a couple are performing, the rest are speaking. So looking forward to it. Mike, thanks for hanging out. Thank you. Those who have been watching here today and who watch this later, we hope that we've maybe given you some ideas for ways to make the rest of this day memorable. And even a way to step into the event this week is go in with curiosity, go in being open to new ideas and notice things, and then do something about something that you notice. And if you do, let us know on LinkedIn or Facebook what you did, because we would love to celebrate that with you. Mike, any closing comments that you have?
I would just say, fun is available for us all, and this event is going to be fun for sure. So join us, and I can't wait to see what happens in the days ahead.
All right. Well, go be unforgettable, everybody. Have a great day.